They say every city has a man who talks too much, and in Beirut, that man was Kareem Al-Sayegh, the skinny podcaster with wild curls, a cracked laptop, and a voice soft like a prayer, but sharp like a razor. And the night he dropped an episode called The Men Without Shadows was the night he accidentally set himself on fire. He exposed a criminal syndicate nobody dared name, a gang powerful enough to make ministers stutter and generals salute. And within minutes, the episode went viral, and within seconds, the gang noticed, and Kareem's life flipped like a bad coin. The first threat came at 3:12 a.m., a message that read, "You talk like you're bulletproof, we will test that." And Kareem told himself it was a troll, but his laugh cracked like thin ice. And by sunrise, he found a brick on his doorstep with a USB taped inside, containing a video of a hooded man saying, "Stop talking, or your next episode will be your obituary." But Kareem, being Kareem, did the bravest and dumbest thing possible. He recorded another episode titled, "To the Cowards Who Just Threatened Me," calling them out and even joking, "If you want to kill me, at least come on the podcast first. Bring snacks." And the internet loved it, while the gang absolutely did not. 2 days later, the chase began, starting outside a coffee shop where Kareem noticed a gray SUV with doors cracked like hungry jaws. And when he walked faster, they started the engine, and when he ran, they followed. And he cut through alleys, climbed a fence, landed on a cat that screamed louder than the bullets hitting the wall behind him, apologized to the cat while sprinting, dove through a fruit stall, grabbed a banana mid-run, and somehow escaped, even though he should have been dead 10 times over. That night, he hid at his cousin's apartment, opened his laptop, and found a mysterious new folder titled "Truth Behind the Truth," containing photos of the Men Without Shadows meeting government officials, but something was wrong. Timestamps didn't match. Shadows fell in the wrong direction. Men appeared in 2 different cities at the same time, and Kareem realized the evidence wasn't real. Someone was manipulating him. Someone wanted him to attack the wrong people. Someone wanted chaos. And then he checked the metadata and froze because all the files came from his own podcast editor, Fareed. Before he could process it, the apartment door burst open, not with a gunshot, but with Fareed himself stumbling inside, sweating and shaking like a blender on legs, shouting, "Kareem, they're after me too," and confessing that he took money from the gang to fabricate evidence, but didn't know they planned to frame Kareem for murdering a government official using deepfake audio to erase him permanently. And before Kareem could scream at him, footsteps thundered up the stairs. They bolted to the rooftop, cornered between a low wall and armed men rising from the stairwell, and Kareem whispered, "We're dead." But then a drone buzzed in from the next building, dropping a rope, and a woman landed beside it. Noura Al-Baz, the anonymous cybersecurity genius who had fed Kareem leaks for years but never showed her face until now. Hijab tight, eyes sharp, gloves on, she told Kareem to jump, and he screamed the whole way through the air as she caught him like it was casual, while Fareed smacked into a water tank behind them. The armed men tried to follow, but Noura cut the rope and sent them crashing back. And suddenly, the hunted had a way out, because Noura had the one thing Kareem needed most, the truth behind the setup. As she patched a cut on his arm with alcohol that burned like betrayal, she told Kareem, "Truth isn't dangerous because it hurts people. Truth is dangerous because it frees people, and the ones who want you dead prefer chains." And Kareem felt something shift inside him, like he wasn't running anymore, he was fighting. Then Noura handed him a tablet and said, "You need to see this." And on the screen was a man Kareem instantly recognized, even though he was older, sharper, colder, the legendary ghost of a kingpin, Haj Qadir himself. But he wasn't speaking to criminals, he was speaking to Kareem's father. The man Kareem thought died years ago, the man he mourned, the man he missed every day. On the screen, his father said, "Begin phase 2." And Kareem felt the world flip upside down, because his father wasn't dead, wasn't innocent, wasn't even missing. He was alive and working with the men without shadows. Before Kareem could breathe, Noura's drone beeped a warning as footsteps approached again. But this time, the men weren't after Kareem. They were chasing Fareed. Fareed grabbed Kareem's arm and whispered, "There's something I didn't tell you, something worse." And Kareem hissed, "What now?" And Fareed said, "I'm the one who told your father you were still alive." And Kareem's heart cracked open as gunshots erupted below them. He stared at Fareed, betrayal boiling in his chest, and asked, "Why would you do that?" And Fareed swallowed hard, tears in his eyes, saying, "Because your father promised he would protect you from what's coming next." Kareem stepped back, stunned, and said, "What's coming next?" But Fareed didn't answer. He just pointed behind Kareem with shaking hands as shadows rose on the rooftop stairs. And that is where everything changed again. The shadows rising from the rooftop stairs weren't gang members, weren't thugs, weren't even police. They were something worse. Men wearing matte black uniforms with no badges and no names, the kind of silent operators used for missions the government denies even under torture. And the moment Kareem saw them, he knew these weren't hunters sent to kill. They were collectors sent to disappear people. Noura shoved Kareem behind a water tank and whispered, "These are state assets, not criminals." And Fareed whispered, "They work with your father." And before Kareem could ask anything, the lead operator spoke into a radio saying, "Target secured, extraction initiated," even though nobody was secured yet, like the outcome was already written. They spread out, rifles raised, lasers slicing the air. And Kareem felt his chest tighten as he realized they weren't aiming at Kareem or Noura. They were all aiming at Fareed. Kareem grabbed Fareed and hissed, "Why you?" And Fareed finally cracked and said, "Because I stole something from them, your father's master plan." And from his pocket, he pulled a tiny drive no bigger than a grain of rice. Noura's eyes widened. She said, "You idiot, that's the Keystone." And Kareem said, "What's that?" And Noura said, "It's the blueprint of everything the men without shadows are building. Political takeovers, money routes, staged chaos, assassinations. Your father runs it all." The operators moved in formation, closing in, and Kareem felt something snap inside him, some old fear burning away, replaced by a rage he didn't know he had. Noura whispered, "We can't fight them." But Kareem whispered back, "We don't need to fight, we need to expose." One operator stepped forward and said, "Fareed Hanoun, by order of the directorate, you will come with us." And Fareed yelled, "No, I'm done being their puppet." And suddenly, the rooftop exploded into chaos as Noura launched a flash drone that blinded the operators just long enough for all three of them to sprint for the far edge. The operators fired blindly. Bullets carved the air, and Kareem grabbed Fareed with one hand and Noura with the other as they leapt onto the next rooftop, rolled, stumbled, nearly fell off the edge, but kept running because death was only one misstep behind them. They tore through rooftops like stray cats fleeing a storm, until Noura yanked Kareem down behind an air conditioning unit and said, "We need to upload the Keystone right now." But Fareed shook his head and said, "It's encrypted with biometric locks. Your father's face, voice, pulse. Nothing else will open it." Kareem's stomach turned. His father, still alive, still pulling strings, still hunting him through the shadows. But then Kareem realized something. The video from part 1, the one with his father and Haj Kadir, had clear audio and a clean frame of his father's face and heartbeat pulsing through the mic vibrations. Kareem said, "We have his biometrics." And Noura's eyes lit up like a hacker on sugar. She connected the drive to her portable deck, loaded the video, and initiated a biometric spoof. The device beeped, scanned, matched. The Keystone unlocked. and on Nura's screen, the entire criminal empire unfolded like a digital autopsy. Bribes, kidnappings, ministers under control, port routes, intelligence leaks, and worst of all, a planned wave of disappearances targeting journalists and activists across the region. Kareem whispered, "My father planned this." And Nura whispered, "He didn't just plan it, he designed it." Before they could react, a bullet hit the metal beside them, and the operator shouted, "You cannot escape," moving closer, faster, angrier. Kareem grabbed the deck, tucked it under his arm, and ran with Nura behind him until they reached the abandoned television tower overlooking the whole city. Kareem gasped, "We upload from here," and Nura set up the transmitter while Fareed kept watch. The operators surrounded the base of the tower. Helicopter blades roared overhead. A spotlight scanned the metal lattice like a hunting dog sniffing for prey. They were trapped. No more rooftops to jump, no more alleys to hide, no more miracles to expect. Nura said, "We have 30 seconds before they breach." And Kareem said, "Then we finish this in 20. As the upload bar crawled from 10% to 40% to 72%, the door below them blew open, operatives flooding the tower. Fareed stepped forward, trembling but determined, and said, "I'll hold them off." And Kareem shouted, "You'll die!" But Fareed shook his head and whispered, "I owe you this," then ran down the stairs with nothing but a metal rod and a scream of fear and courage mixed together. Gunshots echoed, metal clanged. Fareed's voice rose, then fell. Kareem fought the urge to run after him. The upload hit 95%, 96%, 97%. A helicopter lowered a rope team toward Kareem and Nura. The lead operative shouted, "Stop the upload or we end both of you right now." Nura yelled, "Keep it going!" But Kareem did something none of them expected. He stepped to the edge of the tower and shouted so loud even the helicopter might caught it. "If you kill me, the whole world will ask why a podcaster was executed while exposing a crime syndicate. Shoot me and you prove me right." The operatives hesitated just 1 second, but 1 second was enough. The upload hit 100%. A global leak triggered. Thousands of servers mirrored the data. Government networks lit up like fireworks. Alarms blared on the operatives' comms. "Abort! Abort! The Keystone is compromised!" Helicopter engines faltered as pilots panicked. Chaos rippled through the shadows. And at that exact moment, a voice crackled through the operatives' radios. A voice Kareem hadn't heard since he was a boy. His father, saying, "Stand down. Bring the boy to me alive." But Nura grabbed Kareem's wrist and said, "No, we're ending this today." And she triggered a second broadcast, this time a video message from Kareem exposing every detail, every crime, every connection, including his father's role. With the entire city watching, the men without shadows weren't shadows anymore. They were exposed criminals with nowhere left to hide. Sirens rose across Beirut. News drones swarmed the sky. Police units, not corrupt ones, moved in. Civilians flooded the streets with cameras. The operatives retreated. The helicopter peeled away. The trap collapsed. And Kareem stood on the tower, shaking, crying, laughing all at once, knowing that justice, for once, had arrived louder than fear. When the police swept the area, they found Fareed alive but injured, waving a broken metal rod like a hero who didn't know he was one. They arrested half the syndicate that same night. The rest fled, and Haj Qadir vanished from every radar. But Kareem's father, he didn't run. He sent Kareem a final message. 3 words, "We will talk," then disappeared into the city without a shadow to hide him. Kareem ended the saga with one last podcast episode, voice steady, heart heavier but stronger, telling the world, truth doesn't protect you, truth tests you, and only those willing to stand in the open survive the shadows. The city healed, the gang collapsed,
justice hit like thunder, and somewhere out there, a father waited for a son who no longer feared him.